What is going on, Gamble Factory family? It's your boy ZROB. We got Coach T Posey as always, ready to talk some NBA. Finally, for the first time this year, we're gonna cook up a season-long slip to sweat out. I'm super pumped about it. NBA is almost here. I know it's probably our favorite and probably our best sport to bet on too. So we are super pumped about it. Tyler, how are you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling really good. I love talking about some basketball, especially after these near misses there in our NFL primetime games. So yeah, anytime you get to talk about another sport, and especially being basketball, because that's what I coach. I'm gonna love it. So I'm ready to go.
Yes, sir. Well, let's go ahead and get started. I'll let you go first if you want to lead us off.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna start with Nikola Jokic at over 16.5 30-point games. Uh, you look at Nikola, and there's not much to say other than the fact that he's a beast. His season average right now is at 25.6, which means he has to have some 30-point games sprinkled in. This is an MVP of the league. This is one that did not win MVP last year. I'm sure he's not very happy with that. Obviously, he's probably would trade that for the NBA Finals that he won, and rightfully so. But he's covered this the last couple of years. He's had over 20 30-point games over the last 2 years, not including postseason, of course, because that doesn't count in these. But he's had 22 and 21 over the last 2 years. I think the line at 16.5 is way too low. The Nuggets have not done anything in terms of the roster, really. It's pretty much keeping intact with what they have had over the last couple of years. Uh, Jokic is going to be the leading scorer, as he always is. And for him, 16 and a half 30-point games is something, like I said, he's done 2 years in a row anyway. And when you get the defending champions, you tend to get these guys on primetime more often. And honestly speaking, like players play harder on primetime. And they go after it more. And especially with a guy who has been a former MVP and the Nuggets coming back from NBA Finals, he's still got plenty more to prove, and he's going to want that MVP back this year. So 16 and a half is certainly too low on a guy who's already gotten 22 years in a row.
Yep, I definitely love it. I see no reason why Jokic doesn't continue to just be a dominant force, man. He's an absolute stud, and he's going to continue to be. Um, so I'm going to go ahead and talk about one of my favorite props this year, and that's Mr. Chet Holmgren. Over 13.2 points per game, of course. This is technically his second season, but he didn't play his first season due to a season-ending injury before the season even started. Now we get Chet at a 13.2 line after a year of just being around the pro scene, practicing with the team. This 13.2 line is just way too low. He's on a team that had like one of the higher scoring outputs last season, one of the highest paces last season. Just don't see that changing with Chet. I mean, he's just going to increase that offensive efficiency for the Thunder. I mean, he's fresh off of like his first preseason game of the year, where the future rookie of the year just dropped 21 points in 16 minutes against Victor Wembanyama rookie of the year. So with a take like that, I mean, how can he not just absolutely smash his 13.2 line? And I've seen a bunch of the community on it too, so everybody's loving it. A lot of people are thinking 13.2 is just too low for him. I see no issues with him cashing this 13.2 line.
Yeah, absolutely, Luke. Luke says Thunder up.
You already know.
Yeah, I mean, it's Shea's offense, of course, but when you add in a guy of Chet's talent and being, like you said, being in the league a year extra already is really valuable for him. Kind of just seeing the ropes, like going through day to day, like uh, routine of just the grind of the NBA. It's a lot better for him, I think, to walk into a situation where we're already playing at a fast pace. 13.2 for that dude is nice, man. That's a steal of a line.
Yeah,
I don't see why that doesn't get bumped, but
it's 13's too low. Like they got Wembanyama at like what 17 or 18 or something like
yeah,
that.
it's
Like
over 17.
they're disrespecting Chet with this 13 line.
He said 38 maybe, but 13.2 is a joke. So yes, love that one. I see that probably closer to 15 to 17, somewhere in that range.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. So move on to me.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to go to Julius Randle. Over 14 and a half 30-point games. He's another one that is just a line that is too low for his output. You look last year, he covered that 20 times. Just the focal point of the offense. I know Jalen Brunson is really, really good, but I think last year, like, Jalen opened up some things for Randall that he was able to get his averages back up. So he averaged over 25 a game last year, 25.1 to be exact, and coming off of just a 20-point game per average the year before. So his overall efficiency went up. But one thing that is surprising that went up so much is his 3-point attempts. So in 21-22, he didn't even shoot 403. He shot 390, and he shot 31%. So you could tell he got into the offseason and really tried to extend his range because he took over 636 threes. So we're talking about almost a 250 3-point attempted jump in between the 2 years, which certainly helped him out in terms of his overall output of the games. You look back last year, and the Knicks scored at a little bit of a better pace with Brunson. Some of their games weren't the normal just grinded out type games, and Randall was certainly the beneficiary of that. I mean, he shot a really good 34% from downtown at that many attempts. Like 30-point games come naturally when you're hitting that many shots. And when he's taking that many shots, it just gives him the volume needed to go over. So at 25 points a game for the season and 14 and a half 30-point games, this line is way too low. He just takes a ton of shots. I mean, he's over 16 shots a game, and that trended up all of last year. So it went month 1, 15, then 16, then 19 and 20. Like his shots trended up throughout the year because he just got more comfortable, got in a little bit better shape, and really meshed with Jalen Brunson very well. So too low. 14 and a half is absolutely ridiculous. This should be closer to 17 and a half, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. I mean, him and Brunson are gonna be a tough duo to compete with this year. So I like the Knicks a lot, especially with those two. I mean, they're going to be firing on all cylinders after a full season together. So can't go wrong with that Julius Randle prop. Got another 30-point game prop, and that's our guy De'Aaron Fox. Absolute stud, man. Love this guy. Loved betting on him last year. Under their first year with Mike Brown last year as their head coach, the Kings scored the most points in the league. I think they were like 2 points even ahead of second place. And that led to Fox racking up 25 30-point games last year. Fox points per game even went up last year. It's trended up throughout his entire career except for 2 years ago. It went down like 2. But then last year it went back up to 25 despite actually playing a couple minutes less per game. The Kings didn't make any new adjustments or additions to the team, really. So it's basically the same team coming back. They weren't good at all, really, on defense last year. Um, so that's just going to lead to a bunch of high scoring games. And if they're playing high scoring competitive games, Darren Fox is going to be the main focal point in that. I mean, this guy, you see his season average right now is 25.2. So he's not going to maintain that average without dropping several 30-point games. I see no reason why that offense doesn't stay very high, very top level. That they have great pace. I just see no reason why anything changes. So, especially, I don't think anything's going to change on the defensive end. So they're going to have to score in order to keep up too. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And,
YFS said they signed the GOAT JaVale McGee. That's true.
okay.
That's funny.
Yeah, I like Fox too. I was kind of on. We talked about this morning, but I was on a different prop of his. But after I looked a little bit closer, I mean that 30 point game is crazy. The
Mm-hmm.
Kings are at just played at an incredible pace. So certainly a great prop that I know we both agree on quite heavily.
Yes,
So
sir.
another one I love. And then the last prop for me will go to the wannabe rookie of the year in Victor Wembanyama. Uh, I'm going to take his 2.5 30-point games because I think that is an absolute joke of a line. You go back and look at most of all of the number one picks over the last few years. They have a lot of things in common. Yes, they're getting drafted to a bad team that is obviously not very good and needing scores. And all of them covered this line with ease outside of Cade Cunningham, which not necessarily as good of a scorer as some of the other guys. Like Anthony Edwards covered this with flying colors. Let me pull it back up. Yeah, so Anthony Edwards covered that with flying colors. Paolo Banchero covered that last year in a team with the Magic. It's not very good. Zion Williamson covered it in his rookie year, and he didn't even play a bunch.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like they're being drafted number one because obviously they're very elite. They're coming to a franchise that needs help, and Wembanyama has already proven at the pro level, even though that's not the NBA, that he's a advanced scorer. He's drafted number one for that specific reason. Would he drop 20 last night on an NBA team in like 16 minutes?
Yeah.
So the dude is a really good scorer. You go back look last year, and the Spurs leading scorer is Keldon Johnson. I would not say he's to the level of Wembanyama even now. And Keldon Johnson had 8 30-point games. So Wembanyama, just a special talent, being as kind of a unicorn at that height, and his guard playing ability. 30 points games with only being at 2.5 is ridiculous. So way too low of a line. I'm going to take advantage of that all the time. That's probably my favorite line of the day.
Yeah, no, I think it's a great one too. We both were talking about it, I think, last night, and absolutely loved it. So 3 should be easy. He may not hit like the first like several games of the season if they're gonna like ease him into it. But I mean, even if he only plays like 20, 25 minutes a game for the first like 20 games, I wouldn't be surprised if he hits at least one of these. So don't get alarmed if he doesn't hit one of the first 20
Yeah,
like games of the season because they may like just gradually increase his minutes. I don't know. It's
yeah,
Popovich is a weird guy sometimes. So
and don't be surprised too, like if he just sits a few games out of nowhere, because that's Pop. I mean, Pop's going to do that. They're going to try to like he doesn't fall in that little category for the league special things, so he kind of has to play a little bit more, doesn't he?
yeah, I think so. YFS is asking for season long stats. Do you guys put more money on them? Me and Tyler do. We don't ever like tweet out like saying play more money on it, but we like to put more money on it just because we like to make it worth our time. We gotta look at it for the entire season, so we usually play like a couple units on these. So that's just personal take. We don't like recommend that or anything to people, but that's just what we do. So I'm gonna go with my last one, dude. I think it's a free square. I'm not gonna lie to you, and it's gonna look really weird. It's Chris Paul under point 0.5 30-point games, and I can already see it now, man. They're not gonna like this one, especially if you followed me last year. Me and CP3, we did not get along whenever we took props, but he's on a new team now. He's on the Warriors. He's 38 years old. He's played 400 seasons of basketball. This man, like every single year since 2015 when he was with the Clippers, he averaged 19.5 points a game, and it's dropped basically every single year. It's down. It was down to 13.9 with the Suns last season. He's had one 30-point game in the last 2 years, and that was last year. He played in an overtime game with no Kevin Durant, no Devin Booker, and he hit it. He had like 31 points, and that's in the last 2 seasons. So he played 8 games with Durant and Booker, averaged 13.9 points per game, only scoring over 20 points twice. Now he's on the Warriors. I mean, he's still like probably at best third option if he is the third option for scoring. I think he's going to look to more to be able to like kind of dish out more assists. I wouldn't be surprised if he has a big assist year, passing to Curry and Klay Thompson. There's also been talks about him coming off the bench too, so that'll be interesting to see how they kind of play Chris Paul. I bet you he kind of starts at the beginning of the season, so we'll see, I guess, how that goes for them. But like he's not going to play more than probably 30, 32 minutes a game for them. 30 points is going to be tough. He's going to probably need Curry and Klay to both be out, and still, if both those guys are out, he may not hit. So I'm
Yeah, I don't
absolutely
see.
loving this prop, and I've I've been joking saying it's a nuke, but man, it feels so like it feels like such a good prop. So
Yeah, I do. I think so. I mean, if he hits a 30-point game to beat us, like he's got to do something special. And like you said, like it's got to be Curry and Thompson out, and maybe even Draymond at that point. Like
Andrew
obviously Draymond's not
Wiggins
a big
is
scorer.
there
Andrew
still
Wiggins
too.
is a more scorer. Like I don't see how Paul's not the fifth option on that team. Like I still think Draymond's a better option scoring wise. I mean, it's pretty. He's Paul's definitely a better scorer,
Yeah.
but in terms of like the Warriors already established chemistry, like it's probably Paul at number 4 or 5. Like
Mhm.
that's my thing. I don't see it any higher than that.
Yeah. So that's it. Looks like Carly, she's loving the Chris Paul under. Brandon, he said he sees it. Nathan's asking about better. I'll check that out later, buddy. Is the taco good? I don't. I think it is. If it's a baseball one, I think it's pretty good. 100% in a team where you have three amazing 3-point shooters. So I think YFS is also down with the under on Chris Paul. So that's gonna be it for they're loving this. They're loving this slip. All right, let's go. I'll go over it one more time. I kind of zoom out again. One more. Tyler's got to go back to class.
No, not yet.
So what we're gonna do for the season-long slip for the 25x, we're gonna go Jokic over 16.5 30-point games. Chet, we're going over 13.2 points per game average. Julius Randle over 14.5 30-point games. De'Aaron Fox 18.5 over 18.5 30-point games. Victor Wembanyama over 2.5 30-point games, and Chris Paul under 30-point games. And then do us a favor, like our boy Fabian said, like and sub. We are getting very, very, very close to 1,000. It would be so sick to hit that this week. So appreciate that, Fabian, letting everybody know. But that's gonna be it for today. We will be back Thursday, probably around the same time, to talk Thursday night football. We may do another NBA season-long slip as well. We'll see about that. But appreciate you guys tuning in. Tyler, you got anything else to say?
Oh, nothing else to say. I mean, this is a great slip. Let's have these odds go into our favor, and see you guys in about 6 months on the cash counter.
Yes, sir.